one is seated where you can't see the screen, there's some space over here so you can see the screen. And if you don't want to see the screen, that's okay too. There's space over here if you want to see the screen. And there's the screen for those of you that are in the balcony seats. Okay, getting settled. I have a general question, first of all. Is there anybody here that's so new that you need an introduction to who was Sri Krsna Caitanya? Is there anybody in that category? Please identify if you are in that category. Okay. Nama Om Vishnupadaya Krishna Prasthaya Bhutade Shrimate Bhaktivedanta Swami Iti Namine Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Prachadine Nirvishesha Sunyavadi Paschachade Satadine Jaya Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Srivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare. Yesterday evening, we had a little discussion about compassion. This is part 2, with some very simple definitions of what is compassion. How does it fit in the quality of goodness? How does it fit in the quality of transcendence? How does compassion and goodness move to transcendental compassion? And so forth. There's a pretty lively discussion afterwards. In principle, on the spiritual plane, compassion is a quality of the soul. On the physical plane, it's a quality of the mode of goodness. Those that are situated in the mode of goodness, their propensity for compassion is quite strong. However, their compassion may be more directed to the body or the mind than to the soul. One of the examples that we spoke about yesterday was misplaced compassion. One example of misplaced compassion is there's a drowning man. You recognize he's drowning, he's calling out for help, and you want to do something. You understand he's suffering, you want to do something. So you do something. There's a cognitive aspect of compassion. There's a affective part of compassion, and there's an active or motivational part of compassion. So you jump in the water and swim out and bring his coat back to shore. That's misplaced compassion, because that's not what the person needs. The person needs to be rescued from drowning, not their jacket. Or another example that Prabhupada gives is the bird in the cage. Some of you know that example. There's a lady that has a bird. And it's a very nice bird. There's a nice painting that goes with this. And she's very busy polishing the cage, dusting the cage, cleaning the cage, making the cage very nice, but paying so much attention to the cage that she neglects the birds inside the cage. And the bird inside the cage croaks because he didn't get his needs. So attending to the covering, the cage, the body or the mind, coverings, gross or subtle coverings, without attending to the need of the person within, it's incomplete, or you can say misplaced. Mode of goodness can be misplaced. And Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, we're going to see, well, here's a nice painting. Here's Chaitanya Mahaprabhu in his grihastha phase, because he has nice hair and he's engaged in chanting and engaging others in the process of chanting. And it's a nice, very nice painting. It's a Bengali painting. And there's tears in his eyes, and he's feeling not only happiness from chanting, but he's feeling a sense of urgency that people should be relieved of their suffering. So there's a nice prayer that commonly we recite specifically to Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, and it speaks of his compassion. Only the way that Prabhupada has translated is a little different. Let's say the verse together, those of you that know. Namo Mahavadanyaya Krishna Prema Pradayate Krishnaya Krishna Chaitanya Namne Gora Trishe Namaha. So, Maha, Nama, I offer my obeisances to Maha, greatly, Vadanyaya. And Vadanyaya, Prabhupada has translated it commonly as most munificent. Of all the incarnations of the Supreme Lord, he's most munificent. It's a special kind of compassion. We'll see. Krishna Prema Pradayate. He is freely giving Krishna Prema, what no other incarnation has ever offered before. Krishnaya, he's Krishna himself, known by the name Krishna Chaitanya Namane. And his complexion is golden, Gora Trishe Namaha. So it starts Namo and then it ends Namaha. So that's the obeisances. I offer my respectful obeisances unto the Supreme Lord Sri Krishna Chaitanya, who is more magnanimous, sometimes it's munificent, than any other avatar, even Krishna himself, because he is bestowing freely what no one else has ever given, pure love for Krishna. So Krishna gave a requirement. The requirement was Sarvadharmam Parityaja Mamekam Sharanam Braja, to take shelter of him and abandon all other shelters. And then Krishna would give his shelter for those that wanted his shelter, not people that don't want his shelter. He doesn't force himself. But Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is particularly kind. Even persons aren't asking for it, he's prepared to give it. Krishna Prema. Love for Krishna, although he's Krishna himself, so we offer our obeisances unto him. Prabhupada has translated this word Vadanya as magnanimous, or sometimes munificent. And dictionary definition of magnanimous: generous in forgiving. So somebody doesn't talk nicely to you or to others, and that's okay. It's like the Jaghai Madhai and Lord Nityananda. Jaghai and Madhai were the objects of the mercy of Lord Nityananda. You know, many of you know the story, but so it's hear it again and again. It's nice to hear it again and again. Lord Nityananda and Haridas Thakur, Lord Nityananda and Haridas Thakur were requested by Lord Chaitanya to give the holy name to anybody, everybody, even if they didn't want it. Give the holy name freely. So they went out every day to give the holy name freely, and sometimes people wouldn't say yes, sometimes people would say yes, but they were engaged in giving the holy name freely. And Lord Nityananda considered, Lord Chaitanya will be especially glorified if these two fellows, Jagai Madhai, they're so degraded. If they became devotees and chanted Hare Krishna, then the glory of Lord Chaitanya will be known everywhere. Drunkards, thieves, wild men, women hunters, they had become really degraded. Kali Yuga degraded, super degraded. Although born in an elevated family, they became super degraded. So Lord Nityananda proposed to Haridas, let's go give the holy name to those two. Haridas said, no, they're too wild. So Lord Nityananda went anyways, because he wants to be an instrument of the glory of Lord Chaitanya. And he approached them, and they were drunken, and they said nasty things. And one of them picked up a clay pot and threw a clay pot and hit Nityananda in the head. Now, the transcendental body of the Supreme Lord, we know this from Ishopanishad, he has no veins. So to hit him in the head, there's not going to be blood because he has no veins. But he had blood in his head because it's a pastime. Same as when Bhishma Dev hit Krishna with arrows. There was marks of blood because it's a pastime. So Krishna would make some blood appear. So Nityananda was hit in the head. And they felt no problem at all. And Lord Nityananda said, that's okay, just chant Hare Krishna, which infuriated them even more. And Lord Chaitanya heard, you know the pastime, so Lord Chaitanya came to protect his dear devotee, Lord Nityananda. He was ready to chop them with his Sudarshan chakra. I believe there's a painting here that shows it. With his arm raised, Sudarshan chakra on the end of his finger, ready to chop them both. And Lord Nityananda said, no, no, no. Essentially, paraphrased, in this incarnation you don't kill demons, you kill the demoniac mentality. So forgive them. And by you giving your forgiveness, they may wake up and understand the foolishness of their debauchery and chant Hare Krishna, become your dear devotee. And they saw the Sudarshan chakra, and they saw Lord Chaitanya ready to chop them. And so the one that didn't throw the clay pot fell first at Lord Chaitanya's feet, begged forgiveness, and then the other fell at his feet, begged forgiveness. Quite a shock to their system. So Lord Chaitanya then said, very well, I'll forgive you on the condition that you never do such things again. Sinful activities, stop, full stop. And what to speak of harming a devotee? What to speak of Lord Nityananda? Yes, yes, yes. And so, as a result of his forgiving nature, as it says on the screen here, and gracious nature, they both became devotees. That their degradedness was given up, and their devotion took its place. Specifically, the Chaitanya Bhagavat says that they were still carrying deep regret, not only for hitting Lord Nityananda, but all the bad things they had done to the devotees. So what they decided to do was they built a ghat, a place where you can take bath in the Ganges, with steps going down and nicely maintained. And the two stood like doorkeepers, like Jai and Vijay. And as people would come to take bath in the Ganges at Jaghai Madhai Ghat, is still there in Mayapur, they requested everyone to please forgive us for all of our bad behaviors, our sinful activities, and our opposition to the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So consistently for the remainder of their life, they were humble and ready to serve the Vaishnavas. So that became possible by this Vadanya capacity of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Another standard definition, not considering who asked for it and who did not, nor who was fit, nor who was unfit to receive it, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu distributed the fruit of devotional service. So devotional service is compared to a creeper, the bhakti creeper, bhakti lata. And it starts with a seed, and gradually it grows into a plant, and the plant grows and grows and grows and becomes mature. And then the mature state flowers and then fruits. So the fruit of devotional service, that's prema. So that's Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. He's magnanimous, even for persons who aren't asking for it. Here's a description of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu as the gardener of the bhakti creeper. The transcendental gardener, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, distributed handful after handful of fruits in all directions. And when the poor hungry people ate the fruit, the gardener smiled with great pleasure. It's all metaphorical language describing the Sankirtan of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and his cultivating the creeper of bhakti himself and engaging others and assisting him in cultivating the bhakti creeper, and then giving the fruits of the bhakti creeper to anyone, everyone. And when people were receiving it, he was happy. That's love. The devotees like to serve Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, and Chaitanya Mahaprabhu likes to serve the devotees. And the service he likes most of all is giving the fruit of Krishna Prema from the tree or the creeper of the bhakti plant or bhakti tree. Yeah. Here's a nice painting. Again, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is in his grahastha phase. He was with Lord Nityananda, and over on the far right is Advaitacharya. And in the evening, they would have kirtan. And the kirtan was tumultuous. And in the tumultuous kirtan, in addition to kirtan, dancing, singing wildly, and experiencing love of God, just through the process of Sankirtan. Here's that painting, celebrated painting, where Mahaprabhu with his right hand raised, Jagai and Madhai in a marketplace, ready to protect themselves. But how are you going to protect yourself from Sudarshan Chakra? Lord Nityananda pictured with blood on his forehead, and Mahaprabhu rescuing him. Nityananda's appeal. Give them, don't kill the demon, kill the demoniac mentality by inducing their surrender. Here's another nice painting, and many of you know the topic is the compassion of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, and part of compassion requires some kind of tolerance. I was just listening this morning, listening to a lecture of Srila Prabhupada from chapter 6 Bhagavad Gita, and he was speaking about determination that's necessary in yoga practice, because there's distraction and there's disruption. And so some devotees were asking, what about this quality, that quality? And Prabhupada was expressing that first comes this necessary compassion. With compassion, then there's tolerance, humility, simplicity, etc., etc. So here's a nice description, because it's Tatikshava Krunika. This is from Canto 3, chapter 25, verse 25. This is Lord Kapila Dev describing devotional service. And it starts with Titikshava. So there's the same painting on the upper, a different painting of the same scene on the lower, and Lord Nityananda intervening to protect Jagai and Madhai. So here's Prabhupada's words on this quality that's related to compassion. While engaged in preaching work, a sadhu has to meet with so many opposing elements, and therefore the sadhu, or devotee of the Lord, has to be very tolerant. Some may ill-treat him because conditioned souls are not prepared to receive the transcendental knowledge of devotional service. Sometimes devotees are personally attacked with violence, but still they were tolerant because their mission was to deliver the fallen souls. Now this is Chaitanya Charitamrita dealing with Jagai and Madhai. Because of this audience, I think it's a nice, give a couple of examples. One example is Prabhupada, and another example is Bhakti Siddhanta, near contemporary examples. Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur, Prabhupada's spiritual master, was very powerful. And one of the things he liked was Sankirtan. And one of the things he liked was his father's statement that the birthplace of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was in Mayapur, not in Navadvip. You know the difference between Mayapur and Navadvip? Navadvip, if you have a map, Navadvip is on the western side of the Ganges. Mayapur is on the eastern side of the Ganges. So according to history, after Chaitanya Mahaprabhu departed this world, the Ganges shifted course. And what was the birthplace of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu became underwater. After some time, the course of the Ganges shifted back. And at that point in history, when the Ganges shifted back, some persons claimed that the birthplace of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was where the birthplace wasn't. It was not, they claimed it was in Navadvip. Navadvip means 9 islands. It's the name of the place of Lord Chaitanya's pastimes, Navadvip. So there's a city now. Then it was just simple, like a village. But because it became known as the birthplace of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, it became very popular. But When Bhaktivinoda Thakur was residing in Mayapur, many things happened. I'm not going to retell the many things that happened, but he, Bhaktivinoda Thakur, had a vision that the birthplace of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was not on the western side, but on the eastern side. He saw a big tower, a temple, rising high in the sky, luminous at night. And he was seated with two other people on a rooftop. And they both saw it 2 nights in a row. So he became very curious. What's that? And they did research and looked at, because he was a government officer, he had access to old maps. He looked to the old maps and he saw the course of the Ganges shifted, as it was predicted in old texts about the life of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And that the birthplace of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was on the eastern side, where that light had come from, the big spire, the dome from a temple. And then more things happened, rather than the whole story. He brought Jagannath Das Babaji to confirm this is the place of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's appearance. Jagannath Das Babaji was the Shiksha Guru of Bhaktivinoda Thakur, very, very old, over 100 years old, and he was invalid. He couldn't walk. He had to be carried in a basket. They didn't have wheelchairs. So he was brought in a boat to the eastern side, brought to the place where Bhaktivinoda Thakur had concluded, this is the place. And Jagannath Das Babaji jumped out of the basket, although he's lame, and exclaimed, this is it. So then Bhaktivinoda Thakur started establishing a little temple for the birthplace of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, which was a confrontation to the people who had their income, their livelihood invested, and where the birthplace wasn't. You know, you cut at people's income, you can have a problem. If you do it in Bengal, you got a big problem. Your life is at risk. Bhaktivinoda Thakur built a little temple by going door to door, risking his life, going door to door, asking any gentleman who is a Vaishnav will give 1 rupee. And with those 1 rupees, he built a little place. And then he requested his son, Bhakti Siddhanta, to build a big place. So Bhakti Siddhanta, having full faith in the conclusion of his father, Bhaktivinoda Thakur, went to have Naga Sankirtan, street Sankirtan, in Navadvip, with hundreds of followers and many mridangas and kartals, and right through the city streets of Navadvip. And the money-challenged priests took exception. They went to the police, and they offered a bribe to the police. We're going to murder this guy. Look the other way. The police said, you know we take bribes, but he's a sadhu, so we're not going to look the other way. But they had their plan, so the police informed Bhakti Siddhanta or his associates, they're planning to murder you. They hired gundas, gangsters, to murder him. And Bhakti Siddhanta was fearless. He went through the streets, and as he was going through the streets with hundreds of kirtaniers, his followers, the gundas came. Tension. So one of the devotees was his follower, who was a grahasta, in fact his disciple. He pulled him to the side and said, to save your life, why don't we change clothes? We're about the same stature, we're both tall and thin. I'll wear your sannyas attire. You can wear my grahasta attire and be taken off the scene, and your life will be protected. Intense, really intense. I mean, it's for real. They were going to kill him. So they didn't kill him. And the person who wore his sannyas attire didn't get killed either. But Bhaktisiddhanta knew, he was taking this risk for the truth. The truth is the birthplace is over there. By scripture, by maps, by confirmation of Jagannath Das Babaji, the conclusions of his father, Bhaktivinoda Thakur. So, risking his life. Yes. Very real fearlessness. Then what happened was, there was a big write-up in the newspaper about what had happened the day before. And the police came to him and said, here's our story. We were offered a bribe. We know who the people were. If you want, you can press charges. And he said, no, I don't want to press charges, because the amount of publicity that we got, would have taken years to get the publicity we got yesterday about the real purpose of what we went there for. The birthplace of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was in Mayapur, not in Navadvip. So I won't press charges. Very tolerant. Many people wouldn't do that, get back. They knew who the people were. The police knew the whole story. They're very tolerant. It's a pretty nice story. Now, there's another version that I won't go into such detail with, but during the time of Srila Prabhupada, there was a peace movement, but there was also the opposite of the peace movement. There were people that were into violence. And I forget the name of the group. I'm purposely forgetting the name of the group. But there was a threat on Prabhupada's life during the San Francisco Rath Yatra. It was known amongst the devotees. The devotees were encouraging Prabhupada, don't go. The group is a violent group. I'm not going to say the name. And they want to kill you. So please don't go. Prabhupada insisted on going. He didn't change clothes or anything like that, but Krishna protected him. Ready at risks of the threat of violence, just because of why? Because he was spreading love of God. And some people didn't like it. This was a young group. Some people liked it. Some people didn't like it. And you do something, and some people are going to like it, and some people are not going to like it. If you don't do anything, people won't bother you. If you do something, some people are going to like it, some people are not going to like it. And Prabhupada was doing the Hare Krishna explosion. And some people liked it. And some people didn't like it. So he was at threat, at risk of his life. He went anyways. And the devotees cordoned around, and when the group came to do something, they didn't have guns, they had sticks, and they protected Prabhupada. He danced during the Rath Yatra parade. At his age, he's dancing in front of Lord Jagannath. Knowing some people are going to like it, some people are going to not like it. But his life was given to Lord Chaitanya and Lord Chaitanya's Sankirtan movement. So tolerance is a subset of compassion. So back to this verse, the nice verse from Lord Kapila Dev, Titikshava Karunika. Here's another one, Sarva Dehinam. Sarva Dehinam. He's not only a well-wisher of human society, but a well-wisher of animal society as well. Sarva Dehinam indicates all living entities who have accepted material bodies. The devotee of the Lord is merciful to everyone, cats, dogs, trees, etc. He treats all living entities in such a way that they can ultimately get salvation from this material entanglement. Now, we have our challenges just with human population, what to speak of animals, what to speak of trees, or cats and dogs. But Chaitanya Mahaprabhu had that capacity. The painting is showing Chaitanya Mahaprabhu passing through a forest. On his way to Vrindavan, he passed through Jharkhand forest, and he was in ecstasy chanting Hare Krishna. And as he was chanting Hare Krishna, it's described that the forest animals became moved by his ecstasy and chanting. And so those animals that are normally inimical to one another, the deer and the tigers, etc., behaving in extraordinary ways because the soul was lifted above the bodily propensity to attack or defend or whatever. In the background, you see his servant, Balabhadra Bhattacharya, and he's shocked. Oh no! But Lord Chaitanya was undisturbed. No, we can't imitate, but it's the nature. So at least according to our capacity, we should exhibit compassion, the sense of well-being to other living entities. Now, I don't know what you all do, but I know that some devotees, they have a little system in their home. They have a little place where they put prasadam. So the birds and the whatevers can take prasadam. Now that has its problem because they can carry diseases and there can be problems, unintended problems. But if you do it wisely, you can give mercy to creatures that fly and creatures that crawl and not necessarily predators of human society. But as we do with Tulsi Devi, we water Tulsi Devi, so you can give Charnamrita or something, some drops to your plants. I mean, there are creative ways to think how to give spiritual compassion to other living entities. It's not like something wrong with you if you don't do that, but some people do that. I know some devotees that do that. And it's just like part of their everyday routine, as much as they brush their teeth and they chant their japa and take their bath, and they're compassionate to other living entities. A nice example of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's compassion is depicted in this painting. In this painting, it shows Chaitanya Mahaprabhu having a discussion with Chandkazi. Many of you know the pastime. In case you don't know the pastime, Chandkazi was the Muslim ruler because during Lord Chaitanya's time, the king wasn't the local. The king was part of the army because the Muslim army invaded and it took over, and they placed different persons in charge of different geographic areas. And Qazi was a title of the person in charge of that geographic area where Navadvip and Mayapur, the whole district was. So he had power and he had authority. He had military, he had a prison, he had everything that government guy has to have. So, what happened was, as Lord Chaitanya's Sankirtan grew and grew and grew and grew and grew, there were some local Brahmins that were envious. He's ruining our business. Our livelihood is conducting yajnas, and people aren't coming to our yajnas anymore. They're going to the Sankirtan program instead of to our yajnas. And so their livelihood was being reduced. So they went to Kazi and complained. Stop this guy. What he's doing is outside of our Dharma. Whoever heard of what he's doing in our Dharmic teachings? It's a new creation. It's his own thing. So stop him, please. And so he's a Muslim ruler, but he's respectful of the Brahmins, and he went to do their bidding. And he told the devotees, stop your kirtan. And in order to show some teeth, they took a stick and smashed the mridanga and ordered him stop. News went to Lord Chaitanya. The next day, according to the text, he's just about 20 years old. About 10,000 people, he was that popular, came together. 10,000 angry Bengalis. Went from marketplace to marketplace to marketplace having Sankirtan in defiance of Chankaji's order. And in the evening, they had these torches because there weren't street lights. They had a stick, and on top of the stick was something that was doused in oil or gasoline or something that would burn. So they brought torches right to the doorstep of Chankaji, having allowed Sankirtan, 10,000 people, right outside his palace. Whoa! Chankaji hid. Specifically, it says he hid under his bed at night. Lord Chaitanya just sat under his window and asked the kirtan to continue, and eventually coaxed the Kazi to come down and speak with him. So here's Lord Chaitanya speaking with Chankaji. And the topic was, Lord Chaitanya brought to the Kazi's attention, could you explain to me what kind of religion you're following that says kill your mother? So what are you talking about? Our religion doesn't say kill your mother. The cow is your mother. There's 7 mothers. You can receive milk from the cow. She's your mother. When you're an infant, she's your mother. And even when you're an adult, you're receiving milk from the cow. So your religion includes slaughtering cows. So what kind of religion is this that you kill cows? You kill your mother? They had some discussion. That it turns out the Kazi was very learned. Not only in his scriptures, but in the Vedic scriptures, or the known at that time, the Hindu scriptures. So in your scriptures, there's also a process of cow sacrifice, Gomedha Yagya. Ashvamedha Yagya and Gomedha Yagya. So there, it's in your scriptures too. And Lord Chaitanya said, no, it's not for slaughter, but it's for showing the power of mantra. The Brahmana would show his power of mantra by igniting the fire with mantra and having a old cow enter the fire and come out a young cow or a calf to show the power of the mantra. That was the purpose. It wasn't for animal eating the animal. And then the discussion shifted. Why were you hiding upstairs? He didn't say, well, 10,000 angry Bengalis, I'm going to hide upstairs. He didn't say that. He said, let me tell you privately. You know the story. Many of you know the story. So Lord Chaitanya said, no, we're amongst friends. You can tell me right now. We don't have to go to a private place. He said, okay. Last night, as I was sleeping, I was woken up. And I was woken up by a half-man, half-lion creature pounced on my chest, ripped open my shirt, and with his claws screamed at me, if you ever do this again, you're finished. I'll save your life now. Look, and he showed the claw marks of Lord Nrsingadev on his chest. So I was afraid. If you ever do this again. So I won't do it again. I make a proclamation. As long as I'm the ruler in this area, and any of my descendants who become successive rulers of me, the Sankirtan can go on without interruption. And everyone was happy. The 10,000 angry Bengalis went home. And every day was public Sankirtan with the word of the Qazi to protect them. There's many nice examples, and because of time, I'm not going to go through all of them. But the merciful, I'm on slide 12, and there's 56 slides in this presentation. Here's a nice painting of Lord Chaitanya showing his form to his dear devotee Murari Gupta. When Lord Chaitanya wanted to take sannyas, according to Chaitanya Bhagavat, he did so privately. He informed Lord Nityananda, and there's a whole discussion with Lord Nityananda about it. And then he informed Lord Nityananda, I want to inform 5 persons that my plan is to take sannyas. So one of those 5 persons was Murari Gupta. And he's in the painting. Murari Gupta, the home of Murari Gupta is just, like a few hundred meters away from the home of Lord Chaitanya. So every day, regularly at least, Murari Gupta, a great devotee of Lord Chaitanya, would come and pay his respects because they're very close. Devotee and his master and Lord. But Lord Chaitanya's mood was, with Lord Nityananda, the mood was Krishna Bhakti. And Murari Gupta's mood was Ram Bhakti. Lord Chaitanya at the center, but the different mood of who is the Ishtadev, the worshipable Lord. So one time when Murari Gupta was coming to pay a visit, he made a request. He said, Murari, you know that you have deep affection for me. I accept Krishna as the Supreme Personality of Godhead. You have a very strong affection for Lord Ramachandra. Why don't you take the Krishna mantra and chant the Krishna mantra and see what happens? It was just a suggestion. It wasn't like a heavy instruction or something. Give up your devotion to Lord Ramachandra. Just chant Hare Krishna. The next morning he came back. He said, I couldn't sleep all night. I tried. But please remove this burden from my head that requesting me to take Krishna Bhakti, because Ramachandra is the Lord of my life, and I can't take my head away from his lotus feet. So please remove that, take back that instruction. Lord Chaitanya embraced him and said, you're the true Vaishnava. Your devotion for Lord Ramachandra is fully approved. I was just examining your love for him, and you've demonstrated your love for him. And on another occasion, he came to Murari Gupta's home, and he asked Murari Gupta for some water, because Murari Gupta had a practice that by his door, he would keep a water pot and a cover on the water pot. And Lord Chaitanya came asking him for water, and Murari Gupta was very enthusiastic to give Lord Chaitanya some water. And what Lord Chaitanya did was he took the water pot and manifested a form of Lord Varaha and lifted the form of the water pot, lifted on his tusks the water pot up in the air, and said many interesting things. And Murari Gupta is pretty astonished. I mean, with certain devotees, Murari Gupta was one, Lord Chaitanya would display his divinity. He then informed, after the pastime, please don't disclose this to anyone. Obviously, he disclosed it to someone because it's in the text. But he had loving reciprocation with many nice devotees, and starting with the chanting of the holy name. Now, I got here late. I think it was partly Krishna's arrangement so you could have nice kirtan. Wasn't exactly planned so you could have nice kirtan, but Krishna had his plan and I was late. Now, the very next set of slides, now this is slide 14 on the screen. You saw this one before. Upcoming ones is Lord Chaitanya taking sannyas. And now the merciful nature of Lord Chaitanya taking sannyas, as I mentioned, Murari Gupta was one of the ones that was informed. And just a handful, literally 5, were informed in advance. It's 1:15. Once I start, it's going to be, Lord Chaitanya's sannyas is a nice pastime. What to do? Shake. I'll keep going. That's a painting, a Bengali-style painting of Lord Chaitanya leaving the side of his good wife. So Lord Chaitanya was married twice. The first wife, Lakshmi Priya, died out of separation because one time Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, then Nimai Pandit, was out of station, out of town for some period of time, taking care of some service. And she was so attached, transcendently attached, she left her body. And when Lord Chaitanya came back, Mother Sachi pleaded with her son, please accept a second wife. Following his mother's request, he did. The girl that he married was young. She was yet still a teenager, and he was around 20, and they were married for some years. So at the age of 24, towards the end of the 24th years, when he accepted sannyas, so there he is, when his wife is sleeping, he's heading out the door to take sannyas. He didn't inform her. And there's some nice paintings that show there he is walking out the door. And when his wife woke up, she began to sob because she understood what had happened. We'll see some other paintings, nice paintings. When Chaitanya Mahaprabhu left, he went to Katwa. Katwa was a place where a sannyasi named Keshava Bharati was making his residence for some time. And it became known there's Lord Nityananda by his right side, or our left side, wearing blue, and many other devotees who now understood Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was going to take sannyas. Many of them are weeping. They're just going mad. That means they're not going to see him again after he takes sannyas. So they're beside himself with grief. Behind him is Keshava Bharati. And in this painting, it shows several things. The fellow at the very bottom is the barber. The barber has a nice name. His name was Madhu. And Madhu was asked to shave his head. And other descriptions that the hair of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was glorified over and over again. In fact, there's in Katwa, there's a samadhi for Lord Chaitanya's hair. And Madhu couldn't do it. He couldn't shave his head. He's a barber. But he was too emotional. He didn't cut him, but it was very difficult for him. And it shows in front is there's the yagya for the mantras to be given and the vows to be taken, etc., because they're sannyas vows. And he, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, accepted the Eka Danda because Keshava Bharati was a sannyas in the line of Shankaracharya. There's multiple explanations of why that was done. One of the reasons was that was accepted. The sannyas ashram of the followers of Shankaracharya was widely accepted during Lord Chaitanya's time, and prior to Lord Chaitanya's time, in fact. Madhvacharya accepted sannyas from a follower of Shankaracharya because that was accepted. So the authenticity of the sannyas vows was not questioned. On the right-hand side, it gives the names of the persons who were informed. And were not just informed, but were present. The person that did the rituals was Chandrasekhar Acharya. Gadadhar Pandit was there. Mukunda Datta, having Kirtan, of course, Lord Nityananda, and Brahmananda Bharati. Here's a nice painting showing the mantra being given. And the explanation was found in Chaitanya Bhagavat. When Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was to accept sannyas mantra, he leaned over and whispered into the ear of Keshava Bharati, "Is this the mantra you're going to give me?" Meaning, he was initiating Keshava Bharati. And Keshava Bharati said, "Yes, that's the mantra that I shall give you." The day, Makara Sankranti, was a very, very special day. And this painting, again, another old Bengali painting, shows persons feeling great separation. Although he's still standing there as a sannyasi, he's going to receive just now his sannyas danda and kamandalu. And people know they're not going to see him again. Immediately accepting sannyas, Lord Chaitanya wanted to go to Vrindavan, to be with Krishna in Vrindavan. But he was in such a state of ecstasy that he didn't know where he was. So he was relying upon Lord Nityananda to guide him how to get to Vrindavan. Nityananda was being tricky. Nityananda kept saying this way to Vrindavan. And the purpose of his saying this way to Vrindavan instead of that way to Vrindavan was to have Sri Krsna Caitanya make his way to the house of Advaita Acharya. And the purpose of that was so that his mother, Sachi, could see him one last time. And so there's Mother Sachi seeing her son in sannyas attire. She's weeping. Lord Chaitanya is feeling remorseful. "Oh, just see how insensitive I am, how thoughtless I am. You had no one but me because your husband was deceased and your other sons had died, etc., etc. And now it's irreversible. I've taken sannyas vows. What to do, what to do." There are different versions. One of those versions is shown in this painting. His second wife, Lakshmi Priya, because he's taken sannyas, he's not going to have intimate dealings with his wife or former wife. So it's said that he gave her a pair of shoes, his padukas. And those very same padukas are today in a temple in Navadvip, along with a deity of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu extending his hands like this. How she got the deity, there's different versions. Some say he gave, some say she manifest. But it's a very nice deity. On the altar of the ISKCON Silicon Valley or San Jose ISKCON Temple, there's Radha Krishna, and over on this side is the deity of Lord Chaitanya in the same posture and same pose. This is Vaisheshika Prabhu's mood, giving the mercy to others as the Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was giving his mercy to Vishnupriya, and for the rest of her life she worshipped that deity. Whatever she ate was first offered to the deity. She ate very, very, very little and accepted the remnants of what was offered to her deity, and that's how she sustained her life. So on the back, here's the deity, by the way, the deity of Vishnupriya. So in the back, there's Mother Sachi. She made the request of Lord Chaitanya, I know you want to go to Vrindavan, but I'm your mother, and if you go to Vrindavan, I may never hear of you again. But if you go to Puri, Krishna is in Puri, just as he's in Vrindavan. Please go to Puri, make that your place, your residence, your headquarters, because from Bengal, every year to attend the Rath Yatra, many devotees go. When they come back, I can get word of your well-being. At least I can hear about you if I can't see you. So he agreed. He made Puri his place of residence. And there's many other nice pastimes. I'm roaring along to slide 26 out of 56. We're not going to finish. Maybe this evening. We'll continue this evening. Maybe that's the solution. When he went to Puri, there's many things that happened before he got to Puri. One of the things that happened when he got to Puri was he entered the Jagannath temple alone. He entered the Jagannath temple alone for a reason. The external reason was, on the course of their travel, there's a certain bridge, has a certain number of arches. And before reaching that bridge with so many arches, and shortly on the other side is the Jagannath temple, he handed his danda and kamandalu to Lord Nityananda. He wanted to go over on the other side of a little river and take darshan of a deity, of Lord Shiva. And Lord Nityananda took exception. It's described. Lord Nityananda had a conversation with his danda. Who do you think you are? He's the supreme. He's my master. He's the Lord of the universe. And he's going to carry you as an austerity for the sannyas order? I'll show you. And he broke the danda in 3 pieces and threw the danda in the river. So there. When Lord Chaitanya came back, he asked Nityananda, where's my danda? He said, oh, you fell in a swoon of ecstasy and fell on the danda. And it broke. And I tossed it in the river. He lied. And Lord Chaitanya said, I don't want to travel with you anymore. This is my one worldly possession, my danda. And you couldn't maintain my danda. So here's two choices. You go to Puri without me, and I'll stay behind and come later. Or you stay behind, and I'll go to Puri alone, but I'm not traveling with you anymore. He said, no, you go and we'll stay. So he entered the Jagannath temple alone. When he entered the Jagannath temple alone, he fell in a swoon of ecstasy, seeing the beautiful form of Lord Jagannath, Baladeva and Subhadra. He fell on the ground unconscious. The guards thought, this is a wild man. So they huddled around him and decided, let's toss him out. They were getting ready to pick him up and throw him out of the temple. Just at the right time, Super Soul's arrangement, Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya, who is the chief priest of the whole of Puri, the chief priest of the king, and the leader of hundreds of sannyasis, he came into the temple room and saw the scene and asked, who is this? And he said, don't toss him out. Bring him to my home, and I'll take care of him. So when they brought the body of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu to Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya's home, he is super scholar. So he wanted to see, is he faking? Or is it a genuine trance? And when there's a genuine trance, the life airs are suspended. When it's faking, the life airs are moving just like someone's regularly breathing, in and out and in and out. So Lord Chaitanya took from a cotton ball a few strands, little fibers of cotton, and held in front of the nostrils to see if he was going to breathe, inhale and exhale. He wasn't inhaling and exhaling. His life airs were suspended in trance. So he knew this is the real deal. He's not pretending. He's in trance. So he didn't know what to do to revive him, to bring him to external consciousness. Meanwhile, Lord Chaitanya's associates showed up in the temple, and they asked, did you see a young sannyasi, golden in complexion? And, oh yeah, we took him to Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya's home. So they went to Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya's home, and they saw the scene. And they knew what to do. Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya, super scholar, didn't know how to bring somebody who was in trance out of trance. They just chanted Hare Krishna very loudly. And he came out of trance and looked around and, where am I? What happened? And they told him what happened. And Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya, super scholar, the leader of hundreds of sannyasis, he's a grahastha, but he's so learned, he is looked up to by the sannyasis because he's super scholar. And he volunteered, you're a young 24-year-old, very beautiful features. How are you going to maintain sannyas at this young age and such beauty? And if you like, I can protect you. I can protect you by instructing you in Vedanta Sutra. Would you like that? Oh, yes. Protect me. The story goes, 7 days, non-stop, Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya teaching Vedanta Sutra to the personality of Godhead. And the 8th morning, Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya said, you don't say anything. I don't know if you're understanding or not understanding. Could you say something? He said, I understand Vedanta Sutra very, very well, but your explanations covers the meaning of Vedanta Sutra. The more you speak, the more the real meaning gets covered. So really? So then how about you explain Vedanta Sutra to me? Because you're asking, you're my respectful superior, I'll speak Vedanta Sutra. So he spoke Vedanta Sutra in such a way that Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya was amazed, because he's super scholar. So he could understand, at least in principle, what he was teaching and the capacity of the teacher. So he concluded, you're not just a young sannyasi. You're the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And Lord Chaitanya smiled, and according to Chaitanya Charitamrita, Lord Chaitanya then showed Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya this form that behind him there's a form of Krishna, and beside him is the form of Narayana, that Lord Chaitanya revealed. I'm not just a sannyasi, I'm the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And you can see Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya is pretty impressed. He's offering full obeisances again and again, and then Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya offered his eloquent 100 verses in glorification of Lord Chaitanya. According to Chaitanya Bhagavat, a different form than the form the previous painting shows, he showed a six-arm form. Six-arm form means two hands, Lord Chaitanya, his danda and his kamandalu, two hands Krishna holding flute, two hands Ramachandra holding bow and arrow. And then spontaneously he began composing verses in Sanskrit. And I'm going to end with this. So this is a nice verse. The letters are kind of small, but you can perhaps see it. You can say it with me. Vairagya vidya nija bhakti yoga shikshartam eka purushak puranam Shri Krishna Caitanya Sharira Dhari Kripam Buddhir Yastam Aham Prapadye. So Kripam Buddhi is on our topic of, you're the Ambudhi, or the ocean of Kripa, or mercy or compassion. Kripam Buddhi. And you, Lord Chaitanya, came to teach. Now on the right side is Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya looking up and seeing Lord Chaitanya manifesting a form of Krishna and Ramachandra, the Sadbhuj form. And on the left, of course, is Lord Chaitanya as his sannyas attire. So he who is a sannyasi is actually the Supreme Personality of Godhead, teaching Vairagya Vidya. Vairagya means detachment. Vidya means transcendental knowledge. And then there's a dash, it's all one word. Nija Bhakti Yoga. Nija means his own. Devotional service unto himself. He taught devotional service unto himself, Krishna. Shikshartam. Eka, singular. Purusha Purana. He's the oldest Supreme Person. Sri Krishna Chaitanya Sharira Dhari. He's appearing in this form of Sri Krishna Chaitanya, who is a Kripambudhir. And I, Yastam Aham Prapadye, I take shelter. Let me take shelter of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Sri Krishna, who has descended in the form of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu to teach us real knowledge, his devotional service, and detachment from whatever does not foster Krishna consciousness. He has descended because Kripambudhi, an ocean of transcendental mercy. Let me surrender unto his lotus feet. Now this is one of 100 verses that were composed spontaneously because he's super scholar. He didn't need and anything, somehow somebody remembered this and another verse that found their way into Chaitanya Charitamrita. And I think I'm going to end there because the topic is, I'm on slide 29 out of 56, and we'll continue this evening. And the topic is the compassion of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So the main principle of the Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's compassion, going back to that pranam mantra that we recite in his honor, is he's the most merciful or munificent or magnanimous of all avatars, because he unconditionally, Krishna had a condition. You surrender unto me, then I'll give. Lord Chaitanya didn't make a condition, just accept. And the gift that he came to give was Krishna Prema, pure love for Krishna. And therefore, he's to be honored and served. And his mission was to give that gift, and our way to assist him is to receive the gift, and to as much as we can receive the gift, to transmit that gift to others. And with that gift comes so many other things, like tolerance, sarvadehinam, suhrada sarvadehinam, dear to all living entities, and so many other nice qualities that become the decorations of one who becomes a devotee of Lord Chaitanya. So the opportunity is also a challenge. Generally, life has opportunities that may appear to be a challenge. And for the challenge is to come to the stage of pure love of God, because it's a gift that's freely given. However, we have our hand closed, or our heart closed, or a receiver isn't fully on. So it takes a while to turn a receiver fully on, to receive that gift in its fullness. But then all good qualities become the decorations of such a person. So to be continued this evening. Now, because nobody raised their hand saying, I need an introduction to who is Sri Krishna Chaitanya, I didn't do it. And if I lost some people, my apology. But this is a description of the compassion of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Very, very, very merciful in principle and as well in Leela. And there's more Leela coming up that he shows this incredible compassion to his immediate associates, and then to those that become associated with his associates. They get the same mercy. Any discussion? Restless, huh? Yeah. Yeah.
Hare Krishna, Guru Maharaj. Yeah, my question is about the quality of compassion and the tolerance. Compassion is in the highest form is taking, giving the Krishna Bhakti, or the teaching about the Krishna consciousness. So what is the position of these qualities in the spiritual world? Because these qualities belong to the soul, platform of soul. What is the position of these qualities in the spiritual world? So how does they look like?
Well, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu appeared in the material world, and there's an eternal abode of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu in Krishna Loka. So the loving exchanges have that compassion. because a loving exchange has a dimension of compassion within it. So we hear largely about the pastimes of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu in this realm, but your question now specifically is in the spiritual realm. So it's loving exchanges with the personality Godhead at the center. And same for Krishna Lila, because Krishna shows compassion, and Krishna shows compassion in Goloka Vrindavan. And sometimes in this world, and sometimes in the spiritual world, it looks different than what we would expect compassion to look like. I mean, chopping the head of Shishupal, or so forth. You know, behind the appearance of things in this realm, there's compassion. He gave Shishupal a position in the spiritual world, and so forth and so on. So there's no attaining liberation because they're already liberated. But then the compassionate feature is shown in different ways, but through loving exchange. Here it's the compassion is with some obstacle and then overcoming the obstacle by extending mercy and compassion to the one who's... So the definition of compassion that I gave yesterday is when it has to do with someone that's in a suffering position. And there isn't a suffering position in the spiritual realm, which is maybe what you're asking. But compassion doesn't have to have a suffering element. It can just be loving exchange, where there's concern for the well-being of another, not to mitigate a suffering position. No, feelings of separation. Any discussion? Any further? Yeah.
Thank you. Hare Krishna Guru Maharaj, it was once again very enlivening to hear about compassion of Lord Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. My question was, like you mentioned that in our capacity we should exhibit compassion to other living entities. And I just want to understand, like you said that even offering Charanamrit to Tulasi is compassion. And sometimes the inclination is towards preaching. And there is a feeling that, okay, this will be really good for others to hear because this is really good. This has worked for me. But can there be some other element going on inside? Not sure, our own contamination, that when it doesn't go to the heart of people, does it mean that we ourselves have some contamination, or still
No.
we should extend?
Take your question and take the focus off yourself and put the focus on the pure devotee. So think of pure devotees. Contemporary, Prabhupada and Bhaktisiddhanta and Gorkishore Das Babaji and, contemporary acharyas, or Prahlad Maharaj and so forth and so on. So it's not due to contamination that Prahlad Maharaj got a response from Hiranyakashipu and Shanda and Amarka, etc. No, but we're not in that position. We're not in those super elevated. So how should we process if there isn't response? which is, I think, really what you're asking. Something that I do in principle over and over and over and over and over since, decades. As I ask myself this question: if Prabhupada was in this situation, would the situation get better, stay the same, or get worse? And it's easy one to answer. Check the box. It'll get better. So in my situation, it doesn't seem to be getting better. So what can I do to help it get better? How can I be more Prabhupada-like? How can I be more pure? It's not like putting a blame or a stigma on yourself or ourselves, but it's an exhibition of genuine reality. You could call it humility, but genuine reality. And I need, if I strive to become more pure, there may be more of an opportunity for elevation than stagnation. Everything staying the same or getting worse. So look inside and seek doing better at the purification process, so I could be a better instrument. That's how we can process.
Yes, Maharaj. So while that purification is going on, we can still approach the
Jaghais and Madhais of the world. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Thank you, sir.
Yeah. That's Lord Chaitanya's Sankirtan movement.
It was a curiosity question, Maharaj. You mentioned that they took sannyas from Shankara followers was it because that was understood to be authentic at that time?
That's one of the main reasons. It's not the only reason.
Can you kindly elaborate?
Well, in addition, Lord Chaitanya was giving his mercy to Keshava Bharati. And he got mercy. Not only because he whispered the mantra first, but, having that association with Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. The giver and the receiver of the mantra is important, but the association is more important than that one. Okay, we'll end. Time for prasadam. Srila Prabhupada ki jai.